Hello, everybody. Um, we're going to be addressing the very real pushback that we have received regarding our last video named I Quit. We're going to be addressing plenty of comments, plenty of tone-deaf comments that people have taken it upon themselves to write as feedback to our last video. Feedback such as the protesters destroyed this movement with their massive ego. Feedback such as you need therapy and a little bit of self-awareness. I hope Aaron gets some adults on the board. Feedback such as, so Aaron grew this YouTube movement, highlighted all the wrongs with the cult of Scientology. You all have said no one is the leader, and Aaron refuses to be your leader, but you're mad? Why? Because he won't bend to your demands? Turn his show into your show? Do it your way or the highway? You, Serge, Nora, DOA, and a handful of others have cannibalized the movement. Aaron saw the writing on the wall, warned you all. That's a leader, someone who tells you the truth rather than lie to stroke your egos. Just my opinion, just my observation. For any of you that think that making a video about quitting a foundation that I did believe on, quitting a leadership that I did trust is easy, go get a mirror, because the ones that need the self-awareness are the tone-deaf commoners saying tone-deaf things. It's called, why don't y'all do your effing research? But since you don't want to do your research, let's do y'all's research for you. There has been a lot of talk lately about whether the protesters and live streamers who have been out there on the front lines of this movement are really part of the SPTV community. Some people are trying to draw lines to say who's in and who's out. So it's time to set the record straight. What's happening here is simple. We are being gaslit. Gaslit by the leadership of SPTV, gaslit by those commenters that are not doing their fucking research. For those unfamiliar, gaslighting is when people try to make you question your own reality. They twist the facts, ignore the truth, and act like you're crazy for even bringing it up. Something that we're very, very familiar with given that our entire life since children consisted on being groomed exactly this way. So for all of you who have spent countless hours listening to what? How not to be in a cult? Double check if you've learned a shred of a thing. Right now, we're being told that the very people doing the work to raise awareness, protesters, live streamers, aren't part of the SPTV community. They're being dismissed despite the fact that they are part of driving this conversation and exposing the abuses on kids and helping us in demanding accountability. The thing is, the facts do not lie. The same people who are conveniently ignoring what the SPTV website says. So let's go ahead and put the truth on the table, because there's no more room for pretending. And as of today, there is no more room for anyone wanting to play dumb. The protesters, the live streamers, the ones that are also speaking out, they are not only part of this community, but they have made, in fact, themselves, through time, through devotion, and through putting themselves in harm's way, part of the backbone of this very movement. Anyone trying to say otherwise is not paying attention, or they're deliberately trying to push them out to control the narrative. I'm speaking up because this gaslighting connects directly to why I resigned from the SPTV Foundation. This issue runs deep, and it's not about more than a mere misunderstanding, is it? It is about accountability, integrity, and refusing to let voices of those making the most noise get silenced or dismissed. For anyone still saying that the protesters and live streamers aren't part of the SBT community, let's be clear, so no one can act like they don't get it. The SPTV website itself defines who is part of the team, and it is time to start twisting the narrative. Straight from the site, under our team, and I quote, "Our team is comprised of former Scientologists and advocates who uniquely understand the challenges of finding solid ground after leaving Scientology," unquote. So right there, it is not up to debate. Former Scientologists and advocates are what make up the SPTV community. No one made that up, and no one misunderstood it. It goes further. Quote, "Founded by Aaron Smith Levin in 2024, the foundation represents a diverse group of individuals affiliated with SPTV. Let's break that down. A diverse group of individuals affiliated with SPTV. Are live streamers and protesters not diverse? Are they not affiliated with SPTV? This isn't rocket science, people. Here's another one, and I quote, SPTV is a community of YouTubers dedicated to raising awareness about Scientology and highlighting its nuanced experiences and abuses. Okay, now we got something interesting. YouTubers dedicated to raising awareness, and somehow live streamers aren't part of that. In what world are they not trying to spread awareness? Oh, wait, there's more. Quote, each member of SPTV brings a unique perspective, and their diversity in personality and viewpoint is celebrated by their following, unquote. They are calling people members, saying their perspective and diversity are celebrated by their following. This sounds like the exact definition of the live streamers and protesters. So where is the confusion? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like they are part of the community. Whether certain people, including but not limited to the president of SPTV, want to admit that or not. Let's not forget what SPTV claims to be all about. And I quote, SPTV was created to empower ex-members, providing them with a platform to share their truths without having their stories misrepresented or taken advantage of by mainstream media and journalists with their own agenda, unquote. Exactly. Fuck you, mainstream media. Fuck you very, very much. And fuck the 99.99% of so-called investigative journalists who have grifted off the story of Scientology only to always miss the goddamn point. The disgusting reality of what adults inside those hotels and commercial buildings did to underage kids who for the 10 trillionth time could not consent. Then there is this, quote, the SPTV Foundation adds an altruistic dimension by utilizing the SPTV platforms to raise funds for its programs, unquote. Here we go. The SPTV platforms. So protesters and live streamers use their platforms to spread awareness, to raise funds, and to push for change. So how does that make them anything but part of the community? Integral part of the community. Now, this is where things get real messy. People keep throwing around SPTV and SPTV Foundation like they're the same thing, when really they're two different things being pitched as intertwined. So, which one is it? Which one literally is it? For anyone out there still confused, I encourage you to go do some actual research. GTS. GTS. Learn what that is. Google that shit. It's all anybody ever had to do. Type it on Google, get to the SPTV website, and read what SPTV Foundation is pitching its community is comprised of. Why are we being gaslit in real time when all the info is publicly available? Really do ask yourself that question. Every single person that has taken time off their day to purport that coming forward, that denouncing what I did spend, my valuable time that I did volunteer as a grown adult in a foundation that I have denounced categorically as being compromised, is called I had to pull the string. It's called, as a board member, I pleaded with this board to address the very real crisis that I did see right before my eyes. A crisis that I was trying to help figure out a constructive way to deal with it. So let's go back to this quote. Each member of SPTV brings a unique perspective, and their diversity in personality and viewpoint is celebrated by their following. In what world are there streamers and protesters not this? Because for the 10th billion time, all this talk about how streamers are asking for funds from the foundation is a fake narrative concocted by those who are apparently highly intent in misunderstanding the facts. If you are a grown adult and you misunderstand the facts, that's a you problem. So stop projecting that it's us who have a problem. We do have a problem, but it's not a problem based on us not being able to see reality for what it is, to have awareness of a situation that, yes, we did push back. Yes, we did try and crisis manage. This discussion between what SPTV claims to stand for and how it treats the people actually doing work. This is exactly why I resigned from the SPTV Foundation. It's impossible to keep backing an organization that says one thing but does another. Especially when it comes to the people on the ground, the ones that are helping said foundation raising awareness, bringing attention to all the child abuses, bringing video recorded evidence of all the children being bussed in and being bussed out of Scientology's commercial buildings and hotels. In real time, there has been people that have spent how many thousands of hours, some of them literally over a year, documenting and corroborating from the outside that all problems that have been stated in the 1,000+ videos that are in my channel, just those exact videos that are in my channel denouncing categorically the abuse, raising the alarm, code red, as I have been doing since the very first day that I stepped up to this platform to discuss, to denounce, to advocate for kids who did not consent, kids who cannot consent to audit, ethics handlings, and disgusting grooming courses, all penned by American convicted felon L. Ron Hubbard. Cannot consent to that. Not one single child under the age of 18, 21, I would say. A child cannot go and get a beer at a bar. In what world is he being served the convicted felon's rhetoric? Because that's what every single Scientology parent needs to really start asking themselves. So here I am, as I did quit from being in a foundation that I did try my best. And I do have the receipts for all of you who have been giving pushback and saying that whatever it is, whatever the gaslighting narrative that is being fed, that is being promulgated between people who do not want to see the facts, between people who have developed a parasocial relationship with a man that they have no clue how he speaks to his board members when he disagrees. Actually, you do have a clue, since he did have that very public display in a video that he took it upon himself, in a live stream that he took it upon himself to interject himself into, punching down on two women in our community, being Liz Ferris and Laura FM. Two women that also happen to be rape survivors of this cult. Let's be clear. That's not breaking news. They've already discussed that at length themselves. And they are advocating against any more children having that happen to them. Having children be told they pulled in being raped. In what world is a religion being used to launder the facts, to gaslight children who, yes, depend on their adults in order to, I don't know, have a compass of reality? children that are asphyxiated by adults who are degenerate enough to expose them to everything that they are getting themselves off on. Adults that do not have the benefit of the doubt that this community wants to keep purporting they do have, because they've been fed this BS narrative. Oh, they're all in a cult, you guys. They're all victims. Bullshit. Adults choose, kids do not. That's what happened to us as kids when we were in that disgusting hotel. And that's what's being done by not all the community. Plenty people do get it. Plenty people did understand already with what was already heartbreaking enough to have to come forward. In what world are idiots making points that this is where we wanted to be? And yet here we are. When I raised concerns about community pushback and brought up how live streamers and protesters and people in the community were feeling marginalized, I was met with shocking statements that the president put in writing and horrific statements that other board members put in, writing lengthy emails personally attacking my integrity, personally attacking why I was bringing anything up in the first place, and being, including but not limited to, blamed. Blamed for this. Blamed for bringing it up. The president of this foundation texted this exact statement to me, and I quote, "The protesters are not our supporters. The YouTube audience is our supporters." Let's break that down. The protesters are the YouTube audience. The live streamers are the YouTubers engaging with the content and pushing also for real change and actual accountability. So why the sudden dismissal? Why the divide? For all of you out there saying that we are causing division. We are not following a leader blindly. We are using discernment that we have gained as a result of being brutally attacked, brutally, indefensibly subjected to criminal activity, including Class A felonies of the most highest serious nature, that America's legal system has gaslit us into believing that, number one, we consented, that number two, whatever contract we were forced to sign as children is our fault. And number three, that felonies perpetrated against us, by including but not limited to our own parents, by including but not limited to Scientology's executive hierarchy, that had full oversight, full and direct oversight as to exactly what crimes were being perpetrated on us in real time. They were getting recorded, transcribed, video recorded, graded. So for the 10th billion time, all of you out there that are pathetic enough to think that any of the countless abuses that has taken us, the child survivors of said disgusting, racketeering, felonious abuse, all done with criminal intent, all done with full video recording of it. So where is the plausible deniability is what I want to actually start understanding. Where is the plausible deniability? Where? This is exactly why I couldn't stay silent anymore. I won't keep pretending that everything was fine and everything was wonderful, just like everyone did when they were inside the cult. Just like everyone did when they were addicted to David Miscavige's giving a speech. Oh yeah, let's really go to the speech of David Miscavige. Let's all sit there and listen to what David Miscavige has to say. Let's go all see David Miscavige's charisma, because we're so addicted to his charisma. We just can't wait for David Miscavige to blab his mouth, to run his mouth. That's the type of sycophants David has. Sycophants that definitely would have come after us for speaking up inside their disgusting hotel that they're obsessed with protecting. They're obsessed with propping up and pretending is a great, wonderful place. Where are the adults raising the alarm, sounding it, going to the FBI Crimes Against Children unit, going to Homeland Security, screaming at a Homeland Security that comes to the rescue of grown adults, including but not limited to what we just see right now with P. Diddy and the party, all these adults that went to those parties, consenting grown adults that went to those parties. And yet, where is Homeland Security giving an F about kids that didn't go to a party? Kids that were exposed to freak-offs pitched by a convicted felon, L. Ron Hubbard. Kids that were video recorded against their consent, against their will, against their best interest. Where is that Homeland Security going and grabbing those tapes? Why the F are they sitting there with their heads literally up there, you know what, showing us with total indifference that equal treatment under the law is a platitude America is using to purport that the very same legal system that made child slavery legal again is alive and well. The same legal system that is too idiotic, too stupid, or too corrupt to not follow what's written in black and white in their laws. All the laws that speak about the child trafficking business model that it really purports to be all against. Imagine the Southern District of New York goes over their head. Their FBI goes over their head. The Department of Justice over their head. Imagine what type of advocates these kids have for themselves, as all of you have been groomed to accept a lie spread by the Internal Revenue Service, a lie spread by the top leadership of the Internal Revenue Service, who decided if we are getting sued with baseless allegations, then let's call convicted felon L. Ron Hubbard an American-bred god and get these people off our back without giving a shred of a literal fuck that it is thanks to the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service, that everyone wants to go and propitiate and go, please, IRS, will you just please revoke their tax exempt status, please? And the IRS just sits there with all the financial receipts, every tax break that has been afforded by the Internal Revenue Service of this country to, including but not limited to, self-admitted pedophiles, self-admitted rapists of children. Let that sink in. I have resigned from the board immediately and permanently. And I did it because the leadership wasn't willing to address the real issues. I couldn't stay on a board with an organization that refuses to practice accountability and is more focused on protecting itself, protecting the optics, than listening to the community it claims to serve. The community pitched on its literal website, comprised of stakeholders that apparently have been utterly erased. So let's be clear. This isn't just about me, is it? It's a fundamental lack of respect for people who are making real sacrifices and who aren't being acknowledged for their work, who aren't being supported for their advocacy. Advocacy requires reciprocity. In what world do we have to spell out common sense for all of you who still are all the way in the back, projecting and pretending that we're the ones with the problem? Imagine being you, thinking you can gaslight kids that grew up in Scientology, being gaslit 24/7. Imagine being you, trying to gaslight kids that the disgusting, grotesque, convicted felon exposed to, what was it? Oh yeah, investigatory technology pulled the string to find the Sherman tank. As a child, if I didn't pull the string to find a Sherman tank, my head was spliced in two by Debbie Cook and her disgusting cabal of surrogates that were going around making sure we were reminded, penalty for anyone that misses a withhold, you guys. Don't miss a withhold. Really raise your confront of evil. Really get all the details of the felonies that were laundering inside of this hotel. We were coached. We were graded. Where is the plausible deniability of the adults involved in this disgusting criminal racketeering scheme, in this disgusting state-sponsored child trafficking ring. That yes, where the hell is the Department of Justice showing us a shred of literal justice? In what world are kids that didn't even finish high school because we were brought here from another country and we only got to 7th grade having to school you idiots on the facts, having to school you high paid salaries at the DOJ, high paid salaries at attorneys that, in our very own opinion, aren't worth a shred of anything. Attorneys graduating from the top law schools of this country. Imagine being the law universities of this country. Imagine certifying officers of the so-called court. Imagine that none of these so-called attorneys that are being paid to do a job can defend the utterly indefensible enslavement of kids that is totally against the law, totally against what the law says. Like we clearly stated in our last live, the law's on our side. It's the people that need to enforce said law who are on the wrong side of the street, who are on the street next to the child traffickers, all in their own abominable, defensible delusion, pretending that for the 10th billionth time, Class A felonies committed and perpetrated on kids is the child's fault. That's what America preaches as a religion. That is why I walked away from this foundation. I am not going to compromise my integrity or stand by quietly while the leadership wrecks this community. While the leadership gaslights the community, telling them, we never told you we would support you. We just are so focused on helping who? Who are we so focused on helping exactly? How many people are coming out in droves out of these hotels to really want to get help? Go look at the live streams and y'all can tell me exactly where the people are leaving the hotels. We've already told you 1 trillion times. The kids cannot help themselves. The kids cannot save themselves. The kids cannot defend themselves. And I've yet to see a single MF adult come and say, I don't want to be here. Let me really leave. Let me really go with a live streamer here. Oh, let me really go to SPTV where they're really going to help me. So here's my final thoughts. To everyone that is out there still being confused about whether live streamers and protesters are part of the SPTV community, just look at the website and please advise. The definitions and the mission statements are clear. They are part of it. So the comments dismissing their involvement are baseless, and the people making them need to do their actual homework, need to do y'all's fucking research. Because coming to this table and making claims that don't stand up to a shred of scrutiny is infantile AF. And this moment calls for people to become adults, for people to become effective advocates, to denounce the utterly disgusting, unthinkable, criminal ways that a convicted felon pitched to treat kids with full impunity and have the LAPD let them get away with it, and have Mayor Karen Bass let them get away with it, and have Clearwater Police Department let them get away with it, and have Austin Police Department let them get away with it, and have Las Vegas Police Department let them get away with it, and have Chicago Police Department let them get away with it. So stop pretending like you don't know who's doing real work here. I think it's going to be up to the live streamers, to the ones that thought they were in a community, thought had the backup of a foundation. Because for the 10th billion time, let's be clear, it's the same support that you did see from the president of this foundation when everything was wonderful and everything was great and everybody was protesting and live streaming, that did put it on his website together with his co-founder what it was that this was supposed to be. In what world were we expecting to wake up to this lie? It does suck to be me. It does suck to be a community that has developed betrayal blindness due to the fact that they've been gaslit and pitched that they're not part whatsoever of what they all thought they were being a part of. Leaders must be held accountable when they fail to live up to the promises made to the community. And I stand with protesters, live streamers, and every other last adult that is helping us, that is giving us oxygen, that is seeing reality together with us, that have helped us to have the strength to be able to denounce this unthinkable level of gaslighting and this unthinkable level of dysfunction. I stand with everyone who is a part of denouncing categorically the highly illegal racketeering, child trafficking scheme that goes by the moniker Scientology. I stand with all of you who fight for that, even if others refuse to see you. I acknowledge your efforts. I acknowledge your participation. And I acknowledge the time invested in fighting a multi-billion war of misinformation that's been waged to keep the American public deaf, dumb, blind, and fully complicit, thanks to the IRS. Thanks to the IRS, every taxpayer in this country is complicit in subsidizing our slavery inside these hotels as children who never could have consented to be slaves. For the 10th billion time, adults, grown adults, can consent to be turned into slaves, can consent to be humiliated, can consent to be treated like human garbage if they are getting off on that. If an adult wants to do that to themselves, if an adult wants to sign all the contracts that the Scientology lawyers put in front of them to do this, if the adults want to read all the rhetoric of L. Ron Hubbard and think, gee, what a great idea, let me really turn myself into a slave because I'm going to get off on that. Purporting I'm saving a world by abusing children. Isn't that nice? Isn't that great? Isn't that so empowering? Isn't that America let us, what, get their freak on with kids while the DOJ sits there with their arms crossed? While Department of Homeland Security sits there with their thumbs up, there you know literally what? I'm disgusted. My trust was shattered. Nobody wanted or asked for this. So by all means, anybody who can do something to start reversing the course, do that. Anybody who can speak truth to power, stand up and speak truth to power already. You are all full-grown adults in our audience. You are not children. You are not infantile. So it's time to drop all of those excuses and face the very uncomfortable, unthinkable, inconvenient truth that has revealed itself. If truth makes you uncomfortable, imagine the plight of Scientology parents who do not want to confront said truths. Imagine being them. Imagine being them that has not one single one of them stood up for themselves and denounced the disgusting, unthinkable, systemic, institutionalized abuse of children who could not consent to every single thing they were getting exposed to inside the Scientology hotels. Children that were made to sign contracts that were all against their best interest, with no lawyers of their own to help them review said billion-year bullshit illegal contract that the courts of the United States are still pretending we have to go to our enslavers and really mediate. Oh yeah, that's what the courts of the United States are saying. Really just go mediate with the people that child trafficked you, because we're giving them the full benefit of the literal MF doubt, because what? There's no spine and there's no integrity. And this is a stain in the legal profession. The ones that have zero credibility right now are any and all legal people that have exposed themselves to this exact problem and thought, you know what this really is giving? Religion. You know what this convicted felon wrote here in pieces of paper to do? That call for the laws of this United States to be broken? That's giving religion. So yes, all legal professionals that have touched this, flunk. You couldn't have been more stupid. You couldn't have been more idiotic. You couldn't have been more told what it is instead of looking and not listening. L. Ron Hubbard did teach us that inside of the hotel when we were investigating people. He told us, look, don't listen. What are the facts? Stop listening to the pitch. What are the facts? Like I said, we do have hope. We do know that the law's on our side. We do know that there's legal people out there that understand common sense, that understand the law, that understand the great responsibility that comes with being an officer of the court, that understand what it means to perjure yourself, full-blown felony that it is, that understand that their law license will be shredded by a state bar association that may or may not want to do its job. I don't know what in the hell's going on at the state bar associations, because in what world are they allowing this? In what world are they contributing to the problem by their abysmal failure to rein back the attorneys that made the case that a convicted felon was an American-bred god? And just like that, Constitution of this United States was shredded, and just like that, all applicable laws of this country were shredded inside of these hotels. And all people joining said hotels and commercial buildings going by the moniker Scientology were told, everything goes in here. It's a safe space for you to break the law, because we have the LAPD in our pocket. We have the Clearwater Police Department in our literal pocket. We've spent decades bringing them cookies, sending them fruit baskets, and pretending that, yeah, we're all about saving our world. How can we help you? How can we do special favors? So we really do fraternize with all of these law enforcement agencies that are on the wrong side of the law. This moment calls for everyone to come to present time, to heed this severe reality adjustment that you are all getting, because our childhood trauma is not here for anyone's entertainment. Our plight for being trafficked inside of those hotels and our subsequent recovery journey is not something to be entertained by. This moment comes to a halt, to a screeching halt. I will pry your eyes open, and I will make you confront evil. Because there's nothing more evil than abusing children who could not consent. And if you don't see that, then you know what? That's a you problem, not us. Bye.